We are live on the Virtual Grip Network, and we're in for a little plot twist this week as we head into the great state of Kentucky for Week 16 of the OBRL YesterYear Racing Cup Series. YesterYear, where past meets present. I'm Zach Chapman, a.k.a. Shaggy, along with my partner in crime, John Hine. We're lucky enough to have the heartbeat of EGN, the absolute best, bringing us all the sights and sounds, the one and only Ryan Seneker. Last week, the OBRL rolled into the famous Michigan International Speedway. If I can get my words out tonight. And we had an early fireworks and non-stop 2 and 3 wide action. The 110-lap part stopper saw multiple lead changes and a 3-car battle to the line for the checkered flag. When the smoke cleared and the barrels cooled off, it was none other than General Dwayne MacArthur who etched his name in the win column for the 5th time, having won 4 out of the last 5 races. Can the General maintain his assault, or will we finally see him throw up the white flag as we roll into the curveball of the season, the Kentucky Motor Speedway? Due to a decline in attendance, we saw NASCAR remove Kentucky from its schedule after the 2020 season. As many of you all know, we were dealing with COVID around that time, and with lack of state funding, we saw the Speedway close its doors and transition into a storage facility. Luckily, we're in the virtual world, and iRacing had already scanned the 1.5-mile Speedway. And with what I believe is a driver's vote here, John, they made a change to the previously planned road course and decided to throw Kentucky back on the schedule. With that being said, John, we've been talking about it a lot here in the booth before we're starting up. We haven't spent a lot of time on this racetrack, and with the new tire model, man, what can we expect when we kick open the stables here at Kentucky?
Well, what we can expect is the unexpected here. You know, this is going to be a clean slate for a lot of these guys. You know, you can practice and do all those things through the week after the build that iRacing did. And just to kind of give those that do not iRace up to speed, every 13 weeks, iRacing comes out with a build and updates and brings new tracks and new artwork, all kinds of things. Well, for these cars, they brought up basically changed the way they drive. They put a brand new tire model on these cars that, you know, I've got a little experience with, and I can tell you, watch these first few laps, because it's not going to be as simple. Get your tires up to temperature quick. You're going to have to be patient, race a lap or two, bring those tires up to speed. But, you know, virtual world, it's nice to be here at Kentucky. We don't have to worry about parking issues. That's a big reason why the track went under. You couldn't get in here to park. A lot of folks missed the beginning of races. That's why the decline in attendance. And you combine that, we'll just say that some of the OBRL guys, we're just going to say their passports weren't up to date. So that's why they came back here. So good to be back. I can't wait to see how this track races.
Yeah, and, you know, a lot of drivers, I'm sure, good to be back. But, Ryan, let's take a look at the season points here, because I mean, we mentioned him there a little bit, the General, Dwayne MacArthur. John, 5 wins this season, really putting himself above the other guys for now. As if we go into playoff time, you have a 20-point advantage, I believe, over Andrew Kotzka. I think it's 10 points a win. Could be wrong, but man, oh man, I mean, what's it going to take to knock that guy off the horse here tonight? I mean, somebody's got to do something.
Yeah, well, I think the new tire model, everything else, that's going to make it real interesting. Like I said, a clean slate. Everybody's got to figure this thing out. But, you know, we talk about it week in and week out. Luke Lane, he's holding on to that 16th position. You know, only a 25-point lead. A lot of things can happen where you can that lead will evaporate. So I'm going to be watching that battle between him, Chris Bates, James Hislop, Fred Wolford. Those guys are all right then and there. And, you know, we got a couple of wild cards up the road here. And any one of those drivers that you see on that right hand of your screen, one of those guys get a win. Next thing you know, they're in.
Well, John, qualifying's almost over here, but I want to ask you one question here. I know you kind of mentioned you wouldn't do it here tonight. With it being a new track, maybe, you know, being too rough on those tires, would you short pit here to try to get track position later, or is it just going to be too rough?
You know what's crazy? I don't know what I'd do here. I mean, I don't think I would, just because it's not even so much a matter of being rough. I think it's, you're going to have to watch and react to what guys are doing around you, and I think that's what's going to dictate your pit strategy.
Well, speaking of here, qualifying came to a close. We should be able to take a look at the starting grid here any moment. And man, I like we're gonna see him pop up here. There, I like the way they grid them in pit road. You're gonna see them kind of line up at the top there, side by side.
Old
John.
school.
Yeah, they're not double file. That's pretty neat. But let's take a look here. Row one, your pole winner with a time of 31.744, just edging out Josh Robinson with a 7.47. Courtney Nelson on the inside, defending champion Josh Robinson to the outside.
In the second row tonight is going to be the 00 of Lloyd Moore, and next to him, one of those guys fighting for a transfer position into the championship. That's James Hislop.
Roger Hurley finds himself on the inside of row three to the outside, Tom Ogle.
Dan Hill and the guy that you talked about with 5 wins, Dwayne MacArthur, they're going to occupy row number 4.
Andrew Kotska, a man who was semi-dominant there in the early stages of the season, has since cooled off. He's going to line up on the inside of row 5. To the outside, Jerry Isaacs, that first man highest points without a win. He'd love to get one.
Yes, and then the next row is going to be Sean Foltz and Greg McDaniel.
Grandpa Dakota Pishka to the inside of row 7. To the outside, Luke Lane.
Bruce Pearson and Bill Martin will occupy row number 8.
Andy Thomas on the inside of row 9. To the outside, the boss man, Victor Lane.
Alan Wanamaker and Bob Fellenbaum are going to round out your top 20.
Gavin Adams on the inside of row 11. Into the outside, Crisco Robert Borisco.
Lee Wordsell and Scott Negus occupy the next row.
Chris Bates on the inside of row 13. To the outside, Tommy Embassy.
Kenny Allen and John Hastings are going to occupy the next row.
Mark Fish to the inside of row 15. To the outside, Brian Lindsay.
Patrick Martindale and Michael Dow, 31st, 32nd.
Nicholas Self and Brian Lynch make up row 17. And John, one more.
Brian Glass and Lonnie Corey are going to round out your field, but there are a lot of EOLs here, penalties that drivers are going to be serving. Patrick Martindale to the back, Brian Lindsay to the back, Michael Dow, Chris Bates. So all those guys are already towards the back anyway, but that's the starting lineup.
Now, John, last week, 110 laps at Michigan, 1 caution. This isn't an insult on the drivers, but I think maybe you and I both expect a little more than 1 here tonight at a racetrack we don't come to so often.
Yeah, you know what, these guys, we've thought that a couple times, and then they go caution 3. The one thing about this group is, you know what, they drive smart. So you know what, that we watched a lot of incidents in practice, but they were probably looking for the where that line is and not to cross it. We're going to see if they kind of get in within their own groove here.
Now, I always use that as my excuse mentally, but it doesn't always work. Hopefully it works for them here. As the pace car's off, we roll out of 4. We're going to see that green flag displayed. It's ready to wave. 135 laps to play at the Kentucky Speedway. We're underway. Rough start there on the outside. Can't tell who that purple machine is. I think it's Tom Ogle. He kind of slowed up that top shelf. Not the start he wants, but John, 135 laps. Long, long way to go. Courtney Nelson is not looking back. Big lead already.
Yeah, and these guys, especially here 3 and 4, first time, they're going to have to be real careful. They're not going to have a lot of grip down here.
And, John mentioned that new tire model and stuff with the update. Now, he's going to do a better job of explaining it. But a lot of that has to do with bringing the tire up to temp. Wouldn't you say, John, it just doesn't happen as quickly?
Yeah, before, you could run about a lap. You still had to be careful with the tires that opening lap. But then once you started lap 2, you could start getting back into it. These tires now, just like the real world, 3 or 4 laps to get them fully up to speed. And they've taken some of the grip levels out of it to more simulate the real world counterparts. So when you used to go in there and have all kinds of grip, these cars are going to feel like somebody took a lot of their rubber off their tires.
tell you, Andrew Kotska may have heard me say, John, that he's cooled off. He's already up 4 spots, making the move. Just got around Lloyd Moore. Andrew Kotska working it here. You know, some drivers, it's seeming like I'm watching Tom Ogle there in that purple machine. He's still kind of letting the race come to him, falling backwards. And, well, there's 2 different ways to take this, John. You know, you haven't been there for a while, so maybe you're going to be aggressive when guys are being more cautious around you, or maybe the other way around. You know, Tom Ogle's thinking, I'm going to save my stuff. We haven't been here in a while. You guys are being too aggressive. Who's right? Who's wrong?
Well, you know, and a couple things could be at play there for that too. Or, you know, when you go out and qualify, it's a matter of hitting that lap. You know, some guys could have a little trouble on their lap, push them a little bit further back. Some guys can just nail it, and they're further up the grid, but maybe don't have the race pace that the other guys do. That's why you see a lot of passing, you know, guys going forward, guys going back really early on. The guys that tend to be able to put lap after lap, you know, together, those are the guys, like I said, you're going to see move to the front.
And you're seeing Kotska trying to continue that push here. He's looking under Daniel Hill, the trash man. Daniel, he is not going to put up a fight right now. That man had a good car last week, John, but maybe fought a little too hard in the run and just couldn't get to MacArthur. I mean, we saw a great finish last week at Michigan between him, Robinson, and the General, but man, he came home with P2 once again.
Yeah, you know, in pit strategy. Oh, we got a caution.
Yes, we do. And like I say, that was not an insult to these guys as you see them try to get around.
Big wreck. Holy
that
cow.
white machine? Was that the 56 that I saw? Grisco.
Yeah, Grisco gets loose in the back. 4 collects them, and then it's kind of on from there. I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The big one strikes at Kentucky.
And there was really nowhere to go. That's the one I saw, Nicholas Self. So he's that red car on the bottom. He had a self-controlled spin on the inside to kind of avoid that, then had to merge back up through the parking lot. But, you know, sometimes, John, we know that's a 1X, and they do care about the incident points because of the bonus points. But at the end of the day, I think Nicholas would take that 1X over heavy front-end damage.
They take it seriously because if you get 9 of those, guess what? You're DQ'd. You're done. You're parked. You can't continue here. So you know what? You don't get a lot of those. Not as the golf friends will say, not too many mulligans here.
See the 99 here pulling on pit road. Lee Worsdale. He had caught in a little damage in that. I noticed, John, I'm watching. I don't think. No, he is. So they're jacking it up. John, do you remember we get limited sets of tires? Do you think it's a little too early to waste the set, or with the damage, do you just think you need it to be?
You know, I don't know. Probably get the extra tires if you're going to run long here. If you figure the fuel mileage will carry you. There's a couple guys out there doing head fakes up there, but you know, the other thing too, you might come in to get damage. And Zach, you take people behind the curtain in iRacing. You know, if you're in your car and you're going to go to pit road, you have to pull a little part of the screen up to click that you want tires, or more importantly, unclick them so you don't take them. I've pulled into the pits before just wanting to get a little cosmetic damage fixed. Next thing I know, my car goes up on the jacks and I'm taking tires, and I didn't really want to.
Oh, the 05 machine. Who is driving that 05 here tonight? I'm Embassy. Sideways on pit road, John. I'd be lying if I told you it didn't happen to me today at California. You lock up these brakes, man. You're going to go. Oh, no, he got some help. He thought he was going to go invisible, but he didn't. Oh, that's a tough one, John. You got a feel there for the 05.
Yeah. Wow.
I could be wrong, but I do believe there is a rule, John, not to throw anyone under the bus, but that you have to stay to the right side of pit road until you're X amount of spots. So not to throw Wanamaker under the bus right there, but it looked like he was to the left. And
yeah,
man, if you're Embassy, other than coming to a stop there, John, you can't do anything.
No, and it spun him right into Kenny Allen's pit stall. So that probably even messed up his pit stall, where to stop and, you know, all that too. So, yeah, chaos here early, something we usually don't see here in OBRL.
No, definitely. And It might have been a case where I believe it's 5 pit stops on iRacing, John. I could be wrong, or 5 pit stalls, excuse me, where it kind of makes you, go invisible. You can cut through other drivers to help prevent them. Just must have been outside of that window. Yeah, that's tough.
Now that's why you have the rule. That's why you have the rule to be in that right-hand side right up until you've got to turn in there. And yeah, tough break for all those involved. But you know what? It didn't look like a whole lot of damage. It's just going to be a track position probably that's going to happen here. But it's early in the race. We're talking lap 9. We've got a lot of laps to go here, so plenty of time to recover.
You led me into that perfect, John, because this is a 1.5-mile racetrack, but not your typical 1.5 mile. Not a real long backstretch. We didn't really talk about that. The tri-oval is huge. It's a real big, swooping tri-oval. That is a lot of this place. And do you think because of that, maybe damage won't affect you as much as it would at a typical 1.5 mile?
Oh no, I think it will. You're still carrying a lot of speed, and the faster you go, the more aero dependent your car is, and every little scratch on that car is going to take maybe, a quarter tenth off your speed.
Definitely, maybe not worth going the lap down to repair, but man, you need to spend as much time repairing that thing as you can, and hope for another caution, which, not likely in this series, but at this racetrack, man, the gremlins might come out as we're getting ready. We're going to go back and play here at the Kentucky Speedway. Lap 10 is the green flag waves. We're back underway. Another good restart there for Courtney Nelson. And man, John, Courtney, he's been nailing it, not spinning those tires at all. And then it makes those guys behind him start to battle.
Well, he's showing why it's an advantage to start as the leader. You get to choose when you fire. Everybody else has got to react to you. It undoubtedly gives you an advantage.
Now, I could be wrong here, John, but I believe you had James Hislop in your row, and you mentioned he was looking for a win. And look at him, already up to second, his championship leader. You saw behind there, battle side by side with Andrew Kotska. James Hislop, he'd love to get to that lead, but Kotska looking for one more. And James, he may have a partner here soon. Kotska on the move here at Kentucky.
Well, in a really good finish is every bit as important for Hislop right now as probably a win here. He's that close to that cutoff line. So he's got to make sure that, you race up there, you try to go for that win, but you want to see and try and do everything you can to try to finish up there.
Speaking of that cutoff line, Ryan, drop one car back in that row. Go to Luke Lane here. He's watching Hurley run 3 wide. Look at that. Isaac's in the middle. Not a lot of room. Hurley going to give him a little bit, but they got close. 77 got to check up, and now Luke Lane, he's got to get out of the throttle, and that allows Greg McDaniel. John, he's going to get a 2-for-1 going down the backstretch as he clears both.
Yeah, he does, and boy, that really going to hamper Lane a little bit, so he's going to have to try to get back up there.
Battle on for second here is Kotska trying to make quick work here, cutting to the inside in 1. And, man, I'll tell you what, we're not going to cut the camera for it, even though Kotska completed this. But the boss man, Victor Lane, he had a wild ride out of 4, was able to hold on to it, clip the apron. John, we're seeing guys slipping and sliding here, and I don't think that's going to go away tonight.
No, I don't. I think turn 4 is going to be calamity corner between getting on the pit road.
Here's one.
Around.
And he went under the cone. No, not at all. No, Chris Bates. Oh, no. Oh, tough break. And, man, that's one that you really, you could see he towed it there. Lloyd feels terrible. That's not something you want to do if you're Lloyd Moore. That's tough because right there's the big one. He's already trying to bring it up, so you can't blame him. He hits the jump, but you can see those tire tracks, John. He was under that yellow line, so he was going to get an illegal pit road entry either way. That's tough.
Well, and I don't think that he was trying to bring it back up. I think that back end of his car just swapped around on him. One thing is if you jump on the brakes too hard, that's what's going to happen. But he tries to save it, almost saves it, and then all of a sudden it snaps back and sends him through that infield there a little bit and right into the path of Chris Bates, and that is tough for Bates. Bates is one of those guys that was within range of that cutoff line.
Yeah, that's a shame for Bates. That's going to be a a tough one. I mean, he had Dave Matson to his outside, so I couldn't go high. He was committed, and I mean, you mentioned it perfect. I mean, the back end just kicked around on him. He's trying to miss the pit road entry, and when you hit that jump there, you can't fault him for that. That's not him trying, road racing as some guys would do in F1, John. Cut the corner. There's no case of that. He lost control.
Yeah, he was out of control there. I don't think there was any intent to bring that car back up the track. I think that car was dictating where he was going. Still no takers to pit road, being 15 laps in. I'm a little surprised at that. Got some towards the back that are diving down, maybe to top off fuel, maybe. But yeah, I guess they're pretty confident in their tire wear.
Do you got a guy in mind, John? Who should we bring up here?
How about we bring Luke Lane up? Talk to him since he's right on that cutoff line. See how he's approaching the race tonight.
That's a good idea, John. We'll bring up Luke. You take the first question.
Luke Lane, this is John up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, how's it going, man?
Not too bad. How are you, man?
I'm all right. Almost wrecked myself, but letting the heartbeat go down.
There's a lot of that going on here. Well, we highlight you almost every week because you're right on the cutoff line here. So, you've got to get good finishes, but you've also got to try to move up and try to get a win to secure your spot in the chase there. So, how are you approaching these races as we're getting closer and closer to that chase?
Well, tonight's all about the tires. I'm just hoping to survive. 2 cautions already kind of proves my theory, so I'm just hoping to make it to the end.
Now, Luke, when you look up in, take a peek in that rearview mirror for me. That's the old man behind you. When you're out there racing, how much more does it mean to you? Because I'll tell you what, when I race with my dad, it means everything to beat that old man. I mean, what's it feel like when you're in front of that boss man behind you?
It feels good to beat him, but I know that he saves tires better than I do, so I just have to keep in mind if he falls back, I'm probably doing something a little different than he is, and just hope for the best in the end.
Hey, man, like John said, you got a long way to go here tonight, but you're the man on the cutoff, so go get it. Race hard, race smart, man. Bring this thing home. Let's see if we can get a podium here tonight.
Thank you.
I had to try to, motivate him a little bit, John. When my dad gets around me, it always makes me race that much.
Yeah, we don't need him motivated. He just needs to bring that car home in one piece and not have any trouble there. So, and he's taking the right approach. He knows the new tire model. He knows these cars are a bit of a handful. He's already had a moment, it sounded like. He's just got to put his head down and be smart about what he's doing out there. So that is exactly what he needs to do to get to the chase.
Yeah, and if we're being honest, hopefully he just has that one moment, because I think every driver is going to have a moment here tonight as the tires age where it gets away. So you just got to make sure that, you maybe weren't going too hard, that you got enough that you can catch it. Because, like I say, that guy in front of you, he is going to make a mistake tonight. You just got to be close enough when he does it.
Yeah, 100%. And we're getting ready to go back green here. So these guys know they've had a different couple of cautions. We're going to see if it kind of gets in their head a little bit and then see if anything settles down a little.
Pace truck pulls off. You see Courtney Nelson set to drop that hammer one more time. Andrew Kotsko on the top shelf. And James Hislop on the inside of row 2. What can he do here as we're back underway? Not the start Kotsko wanted here, and that allows Hislop maybe take a peek here. Is Kotsko going to shut the door?
Hislop's there.
Oh, yeah, he got a little loose, though. It looked like in the center of 1 and 2, had to back out. Now Kotsko can clear, and here comes the general. Tanks and everything behind him. Man, he is coming here, John. If he wins 5 out of 6, my, oh my, man, everyone's going to have to kind of aim at that guy.
Yeah, guys are going to have to start putting a bounty on him.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are here. And man, it looks like we got the front 2 here. They're kind of running those similar lines, actually, that Josh Robinson and I believe that Sean Foltz, Josh taking the line of the leader. It's interesting to see, John. We haven't been here in a long time. But, man, it's not monkey see, monkey do. The guys will find the place that they feel comfortable. I mean, even if it's a foot and a half, we're really seeing drivers use all all different parts of the racetrack.
Yeah, and I saw that in practice, and I know some of them did get some laps on this track last night. I know that I think it was Dan Hill that put up a practice session, or somebody put up a practice session there, and so I'm pretty sure I would be willing to bet a lot of these guys took advantage of that.
Now, coming up on lap 20 here, so 135, John, let's do some math. And about 68 laps if you want to go on a one stop. Is that going to be a possibility, do you think? Do you think we can get 68 laps on a tank of fuel here tonight?
Yeah, but I don't know if the tires are going to make it. I mean, we're going to learn together, find out just how far these guys are willing to stretch these tires. And based on my tire wear when I was kind of out on the track, not for real this time, but be able to ghost. Yeah, I'm skeptical that the tires will last that long. Oh, yep.
P2 looping through the infield here as we just looking at the replay. Gorisco.
Wow.
But man, Kotska, he went for a ride. He's still mowing the lawn here going down the front stretch. And John, we're watching the replay here, but I'm cheating. I'm watching the live. Andrew Kotska, second to 22nd. That's how quick it can happen.
Well, and you said it. You think everybody here is going to have a moment at some point in time or another. I could not agree more, and that right there is proof. You know, Koska's been one of the more solid drivers in the field's got a couple of wins to his under his belt this year, and yeah, if he's having a hard time, everybody's having a hard time.
No, and this isn't to fluff John and I's feathers here. If we were running in this, if we're being honest, we're probably mid-20s finishers. Yeah, okay, I was going to give us a little more here, but if we go out here in a test drive and we have trouble making a 15-lap run, oh man, it's going to be hands-on tonight. And that thing, you are on a slip and slide coming out of turn 4 once you age these tires. That's going to
even when they're not aged. Not even when they're not aged. Like I said, they took grip away, so you can't gas the car up no matter where you're at on your tire cycle. You cannot gas that car up like you did last week.
Yeah, definitely a lot more of, man, I wish SDK, one day they're going to give us fuel levels and they're going to give us drivers, not wheel input, pedal input, as they say, John. They give it to the real NASCAR drivers. Love to know what guys, maybe dragging the brakes here on corner entry. Some guys maybe lifting early. There really is. I don't know the way you took it, John, but I seem to be a lift and coast guy when I was out here test driving. Were you brake dragging? I mean, how were you getting it?
I was braking, but that could have been just me over driving the corner here. I was kind of just pushing everything a little bit, trying to figure out where the line is and stuff like that. So, yeah, I like dragging that brake just a little bit, just to try to maximize the amount of time you got on the straightaway.
Riding off the nose there, Jerry Isaacs, you can see way up the road. Leader, Courtney Nelson, puts the car a lap down. It wasn't a battle for position, so we would assume here an inch closer. That was Gorisco, and John, he had definitely gotten some damage, so that thing not going to run the best for him.
Yeah, I mean, we've got several cars laps down now. I mean, Gorisco is the first car lap down, and he is actually 4 laps down.
Kotska try to pick him. Oh, watch out, Andrew! Watch out, Andrew! Oh, he locks him up. No caution. What a save! And man, here we go. That was the 107. Was that Ken Allen?
Yep, 107's Kenny Allen.
Oh man, tough break there for Ken Allen. Now Isaac's trying to make a move on the bottom, and John, I think that's only going to amplify that looseness. You can't float up oh man, he floats up as soon as he can. You got to pinch that thing down, center off. Oh, it's going to make that slide that much worse. Oh, yeah. And now the double deuce. He slides onto pit road. That's an illegal pit entry. So on top of the spin out, John, that's probably a pass-through penalty. And, oh, man, that's not what the double deuce needed.
No, it's not. But good news is even if he loses a lap, he's going to still be the first car lap down, as I touched on it. Gorisco's already 4. I don't think Bruce has actually got to pull in the pits here and actually make a pit stop.
Hey, maybe, you almost I mean, if you're loose before that slide, I can't imagine it gets any better.
Well, you know, Zach, but if he's going to have to serve a drive-through next time around, if you take your fuel, oh, we got a caution.
We'll have to see. I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, I got the same software my guy has.
Koska again. Yeah, it's Koska again. A little bit further into 4, but once again, it lost the back end. This time he's got contact with the wall, though.
And John, you know, we talk about these cars being durable, but I do think that's enough contact that's going to affect this race car. As you see, he gets a little loose, pushes up, and he's going to clip the wall here. And man, I know it doesn't look big, but going that fast, he probably bent that toe. That was a big shot to the right front.
Yeah, we'll have to see here, and I got a feeling that we're going to see pit road busy now.
Yeah, if Alan Wanamaker stays out to get a bonus point here, I will be absolutely shocked.
I don't think it's an option for him. He's many laps down at this point.
Point taken.
There they come. It looks like they're coming.
Yeah, we're going to see them all dive down. No shot at you, Alan. I just love you staying out and getting that lap led. Did we have a taker? Brian Lynch?
I think those guys... Are they lap down, or are they actually lead lap guys? I see a few of them. Yep.
Okay, yep. Brian Lynch, P32. You're correct. So, yep. All right. Now we get to watch this important battle off pit road, John. Courtney's had that clean air. And, you know, that's something we talked about this tire update, okay? That's a big deal, too. But
yeah,
it did change the aerodynamics a little bit. And, you know, I've been watching people mention online how important it is now to get air on that left front, and how, you know, if you don't, you're going to really tighten up and work those tires. So track position could be everything here.
Yeah, and the race off pit road was Courtney Nelson, followed by James Hislop there. So, you know, good job by James. I think he picked up a couple of spots there on pit road.
Yeah, and it almost looked like Courtney, I don't know if you saw what I saw, John. It looked like he had a little hiccup coming off pit road, because it was a close one. Hislop almost got him. I mean, he made it interesting, but he made it offline. And now we'll see here if these lap cars that stayed out, well, I would imagine the double deuce, we see him up in front of the leader once the camera swaps. He would have just made that pit stop, John, after diving down pit road. So this may be his saving grace. Maybe he'll get at least one of those laps. Should double up this time by, so we won't bug any of the drivers this time. Someone to bring up for the next time here is that imagine, guys, yeah, we're going to see him get waved around the pace car here. And your leader in that 78 machine, he'll tighten up and he'll get to the pace car finally.
Well, those guys are going to have to hustle to get around back to the back of that pack before the green flag drops.
Andrew Kotska, interesting to note, John. He is going to be one lap down, but he's out there on the racetrack, so maybe another caution. He can get that lucky dog.
Yeah, as long as he's not the caution. You know, he's already cost 2 of them, so he's got to make sure he's not the caution to get that lucky dog back.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I mean, he's one of those guys that definitely likes to go fast. And, man, this new tire model maybe doesn't encourage that so much, John. You know, it reminds me of the way you guys are telling me to drive that GT3 car. You know, you really got to back it up now and baby it off the corner. It may take a while for some of these guys to get used to it. And this is where, you know, you see Jerry Isaacs outside of row 3. He's creeping up, man. He needs that first win. James Hislop outside of row 1. He needs it. This is the time to strike. Everybody's on that even playing field. The pace car pulls off. We're going to get ready to go here. John, lap 33 is underway as it's back, and it's time to play. Josh Robinson with a good jump on the inside. And, you know, that defending champion, John, if he's got a shot here at second, he's going to take it.
Yeah, but Josh is always one of those two that's really good with tire management. He's not going to push that car right now. If somebody else wants that spot, he's going to give it to him, knowing 20 laps from now he's just going to drive right back by him.
You may have just saw that there. Really backed up the entry to 3. Going to let his lap kind of sail it off into the sunset there. Oh, he gets close to the outside wall off 4, and meanwhile Courtney Nelson, he is out there, John. He is maybe predicting not a lot of long flag runs tonight. You gotta go when you have time, and he's almost the second up the road here. 1 lap in is Josh Robinson. He loses another one. Sean Foltz goes on into the top 3, and Dwayne MacArthur creeps up closer to the defending champion, and Dwayne knows it's not easy to pass Josh. They've had plenty of battles this season. Gotta get them while you can. And that red machine, is that Scott Negus on the inside of Greg McDaniel? It is Negus working the inside. And Negus, a terrible qualifying effort. I think he'd admit to that. John started 24th at 15 spots, man. That's I know we've had some incidents. 15 spots in 35 laps. That's a pretty good pace there for Negus.
Yeah, but I think he's had some help, maybe through some attrition here. We've had a lot of guys have a lot of trouble. A lot of guys have already parked it and call it a day. We probably should go through those real quick. Lloyd Moore is parked at Dakota Pischke's, and then Chris Bates. That's going to be a really tough one for Chris, because Chris was, like I said, he was right around that cut line, and this is almost going to put him in a must-win now.
Jerry Isaacs trying to make the move on Josh Robinson. Tom Ogle kind of wondering where he should go here. He's peeking in the center. Now he goes up high, going to try to give Isaacs a little drafting help. And he gets to the outside of Robinson. Robinson could shut the door if he wants to, but John, you mentioned it a little bit ago, man. He's just trying to whisper to those tires, bring them in slow. And we have not seen the defending champion put up a fight here tonight. He is just going to take it easy.
I don't know that I've ever seen Josh, quote, be strong at the beginning of a run, and not because he can't be, but it's usually by design. What lap is it? Lap 37? We'll come back and we'll check on Josh around lap 57, 67, somewhere in there.
That's definitely in. Some of these guys starting to click off some laps, but now seeing some big fall off, John. About 3 laps ago, James Hislop ran the fastest lap of the race with a 32.17. Fall off now, 3 laps later, a 32.92. I mean, so it is showing if you maybe try to work these tires, you're really going to fall off. And the other guys behind are experiencing the same thing. I mean, this side-by-side racing, trying to make up positions, it is not going to help your case to keep your race car under control tonight.
No, it's really not. And but you got to pass. You got to get up to the front. I mean, Courtney Nelson's running away with this thing.
Absolutely is. And, this is going to be interesting. Is Courtney maybe going a little too hard? If we get our normal long green flag run, we won't know until kind of the tail of the tape plays out a little bit here. Is Greg McDaniel looking back on the outside of Scott Negus. Negus, not any type of run coming out of 4.
Whoa.
He just ended up going down
Negus
the straightaway.
just had a big moment.
Yes, he did. Maybe overdrove watching that car in front of him. And Bill Martin taking advantage. He's trying to pick off both of them. The Diet Mountain Dew machine rolling on the bottom. I believe that's the 77 of Roger Hurley tucked in line behind him, trying to peek under Negus. It is. Can't get to the left rear fender just yet. Hurley slipping and sliding through 4. Keeps it under control. But John, you can see that all the momentum he lost. He was underneath Negus. Now he's stuck on the bottom here. He's maybe got a car on the top shelf.
Yeah, one little wiggle and you lose a lot of ground on the track, that's for sure. And we've seen it over and over. And we've also seen it now. Almost everybody has had a moment at some point, except for maybe your first 2 guys. So I think their time is probably coming. I do think what you said earlier, I think everybody's going to have a moment before this race is over.
Speaking of Luke Lane, he just had another one coming off of 4. He grabs the control of it, John, but he's going slow across the front stretch. Luke Lane at the line, falling back to 17th. And man, when you're that last dog in the points, that's not what Luke Lane wanted. But it could have been worse here. But notice now Luke Lane and Andrew Kotska bumper to bumper here. John, you go through the grass, you end up meeting later on the backstretch.
Yeah, the nice thing for Luke, he knows that one of his closest competitors are already out, so it becomes more important for him now to make sure he finishes, to make sure he doesn't, lose points. He can gain a lot of points with guys that are on the sidelines already.
Some guys now, as you see there, perfect shot there, Ryan. I was going to talk about Negus. He was running the bottom. He's transferring now to the high side, but he gets a big run. Early not going to leave the top side open. Negus forced to go to the bottom. And this is where you need to keep up momentum. Negus can't. Wiggles a little bit. Tries to fall back in line. But here comes Bob Fellenbaum, a guy we haven't talked about all night. And Bob's been ripping that high side. I love that middle top, John. You're just keeping momentum up. You're not cranking the wheel. And you see him try to carry that momentum, goes to the outside of Negus.
Big run.
Keep an eye out on that 38 of Bob Fellenbaum. He is on the move.
Oh, he got a little high here in 3 and 4. You get up there, there's marbles up there, and you lose a little bit of grip. That's going to allow Negus to come back to the inside here. But, yeah, Fellenbaum, I've been watching him. You're right. He's ripping that top side, just getting massive runs out of the corner, and that is really what his advantage has been.
Glancing up through the field, I thought we had a side-by-side battle, but that's Bruce Pierce getting lapped there by the leaders. Here comes the boss man, Victor Lane. I believe that's Andy Thomas in front of him in that Irwin Tools machine. It is.
Oh, Fellenbaum's around.
Oh, and we were talking about him being quick. He hit pit road, John. It's going to be an illegal pit road entry, I think, but no caution flag. And man, tough break for Bob, and he's going to come down pit road.
Well, I think what got Bob crossed up is the two guys that were right there in front of him, Negus and I forget who else that was right there in front of him. They got kind of crossed up out of the corner there, and I think that really messed up his rhythm. I think he may have had a lift or even tapped the brakes, and that just got the car out from under him.
And like I say, I repeat, this is no shot at these guys, but we're only going to see him continue to slip and slide here. As the run gets on, the rear end gets a little lighter, John. We burn some fuel off. Man, these guys, they hang on here. And Courtney Nelson, we have not talked about him at all, John. I mean, 2.2 seconds up the road. Courtney Nelson, I mean, what has somebody got to do to go rope this guy in? Courtney needed a night like tonight.
Yeah, he did. He's, Courtney's been almost, feast or famine. But, yeah, he got a win earlier in the year, so he's in. But, yeah, he's had a little bit of trouble here over the last month or so.
You see here, riding off the back. I mean, they look like ants back there. Sean Foltz looks like a little ant. You barely see James Hislop and the rest of the gang. I mean, that's unbelievable. Hopefully, and speaking of the gang, James Hislop goes down through the grass. Oh, and James Hislop now sideways in the infield grass. John, that's not the racetrack they're using tonight.
Nope, and Luke Lane right now goes right on by him, and I'm going to bet he saw him, and that's a big opportunity for Luke because James is one of those guys breathing right down his neck.
No, and, James, I'm not sure if it's per rules, but it definitely was the nice thing to do. When he turned that thing around, he pulled into pit road, and
might have penalized
another one.
him.
Yeah, that's going to be an illegal pit road entry for sure. So he's going to have to make another trip down pit road, and he just went a lap down now before he even does that. So tough break and never even got the stop down pit road. And that is not the night we wanted there for James Hislop, who really, really needed a win, and he had some pace here.
Yeah, he did, and yeah, I'm sure he's going to kick himself for it. He doesn't go down pit road here, so maybe he got lucky and didn't get the penalty.
That would be You know, I think that would be fair, to be truthful.
Yeah,
I mean, he almost
if
came to a
iRacing can
stop.
make it, if iRacing, because you don't have a pit wall down there, and there's a handful of tracks like that. That would be nice if you slid out of there, or missing a wreck or something like that, or having to just dive down pit road to miss a wreck. You get the penalty only if you stop in your pit stall. But if you slide down there, or have to turn down pit road to miss an accident, you don't stop. It's a shame that iRacing at that point can't just take it off. Oh, we got a caution.
Yes, we do. Caution flag waves once again. Not Scott Negus possibly is what we're hearing. Let's see. And yes, Scott Negus definitely involved here from what I'm seeing. He gets a little loose and then gets into this Diet Mountain Dew machine. We'll try to bring you up a replay.
Yeah, well, we've seen just barely taps Bill there, and that's just a shame. Bill Martin, kind of a victim, but yeah, I told you a lot before there where Fellenbaum, Negus got a little bit loose there with, and so did the other guy that they were battling there at that time, and turn 3 or turn
Watch
turn
this,
4.
John. Watch this, John. He doesn't hit anything. The wheelman, Bill Martin, that's unbelievable. I really don't know if he suffered any damage on that thing. Maybe a little bit on the left rear, but we do talk about these things being tanks, and I don't think Negus got him that hard. That could be huge for the 18 of Bill Martin.
Yeah, now we got about 20 laps on these tires, and we still have 100 laps to go, so I don't know that we'll see takers, but we might.
Oh, man, monkey see, monkey do. I think whatever Courtney does here, we're going to see the rest of the field do. You're going to stay out.
Yeah.
Jerry,
you don't want to use
first. Oh, nope. No, he thought about it.
Negus. Negus is going to have to after that spin. So Negus from 11th will be your first guy down pit road.
And I believe Tom Emissy, maybe James Hislop is the last car on the lead lap. No, I think it's Tom Emissy down pit road. 21 cars.
They have 4 sets of tires, so I mean, I don't know if they're going to get. I got a feeling tonight's going to be a night they actually use all 4 sets.
Well, let's see here.
What you don't want to do is have a set, be stuck at the end of the race without a set.
Let's bring up Bill Martin. Let's do it.
All right.
You got to hang on to 9th. I mean, I would be thinking, hey, Bill, is Shaggy up in the booth, man? You got a copy?
Yeah, Shaggy, I got you.
I'll tell you what, Bill, that's one of the best saves I've ever seen. You loop that thing around, man. There is no damage from what I can see. I don't know how the car feels. But how did you keep that thing off the wall? Man, oh, man, what a save.
Yeah, did you like that? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, what's going through your head now? I know you don't have a lot of tires, but are you feeling okay after that spin? You think you're going to be okay to make it to the next pit stop?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if anybody pitted it just now, but I think it's a little early. This setup in this car this week is a little tough for everybody, so I think there's going to be some more cautions. So, but yeah, the car feels good, and they're telling me I got no damage. So.
Yeah, I mean, it looks clean here, and well, John, I didn't mean to hog this one, but they're doubling up, so we'll send him back. Good luck the rest of the way, Bill, and man, congrats! I'm telling you, that's a big time save. You're gonna have to watch that replay. That was awesome.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
That was, man. That was a big one. But John, I do know. I get it. You maybe think there's gonna be a couple more cautions. Is this pace lap time? Is that enough time to cool those tires down? Because I would be scared a little bit.
Yeah, it's enough time, and and these guys, I think they're not carrying the speed they were, with the tires wearing off over a little bit. So maybe it stabilizes a little bit at a certain point where they can just run them at 70-80% tire wear in them.
Still, I mean, you're not going to get an even number here with this 135, but we're still about 12 laps away here from halfway. we've seen 3 cautions, maybe 4 so far. So definitely not characteristic. And we will get 1 green flag run. I'm telling you, these guys will figure out that limit, but it may take a little longer here as guys try to inch their way further up the grid, because somebody's got to go try to hunt down that dog out front, Courtney Nelson, as he gets set to drop the hammer in the Geico restart zone. We're back underway. Lap 56 here, John. Still plenty of time. If you're out there on the racetrack, you've done something right so far, and you're looking at a good finish.
Yeah, and I think survival. I think you went through and pulled the drivers. That would be the key word that I think everybody would say here tonight, is just survival. A lot to learn, a lot of input to download here for next week. But these cars, this has been fun to watch, because the unpredictability in these cars have been pretty crazy.
About to be a 3-way going on here for a second. Tom Ogle trying to stick his nose in the business. MacArthur maybe gets a little shot there. Can he clear the 59 of Sean Foltz? He could have there, but he doesn't now. Foltz with a big-time run, and Foltz is going to have the lead here as we enter 3. And now he can shut the door on the general. Dwayne MacArthur going to have to lick those paws here and try again in a couple laps, John. Well, he may not have time. Look at Tom Ogle.
Hislop makes another save. Oh, geez. Right when you said that, I saw Hislop's car kick out there. What a save by him. But, yeah, these guys are still slipping and sliding, even with newer tires.
Yeah, they are. And Hislop, you mentioned, now he falls back to basically the tail end of the lead lap all the way back to 20th. Not the night Hislop wants here. He has had his hands full, but I think he'd be happy. He's still on the lead lap after having his hands so full.
Yeah, we didn't mention it, but that caution really did him a favor.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Because I would think even if he had that black, John, you could do the pass through. I didn't notice if he did, but you would still be able to serve it under caution. No limit. Yeah. So that's a big save there. Hislop. And now you're watching Luke Lane try to work the inside. And that's that 12 machine behind him trying to get a run here. But Luke went up, shut the door, and now he's going to try that middle high side into 3 and 4. He'll leave the bottom open. Kotska making a move here. We saw him make pretty good contact with the front stretch wall about 20, 30 laps ago. I think, John, he may have actually was not the first caution. I believe he was the second caution of the night, but definitely a caution earlier on. And he's been able to stay on the lead lap. So that's pretty big for Kotska as well.
Yeah, but he's going to have to. The nice thing about Kotska, there's really not any pressure from where he's at, because he's already won races he's in. So, you kind of back in there and around. There's a lot of things that you can do is start testing, figuring this car out with this new build back there, and if, eventually if the cautions fall in the right spots, maybe he can go back up through the pack. But driving through the pack, I think with this new model and everything else, is going to be really difficult to do.
Dwayne MacArthur had a little bit of a hiccup there coming off of 2. That allows Robinson to take a peek on the entry of 3. He doesn't know what he wants to do, though, there. If he can't make it work, he's got that 51 of Jerry Isaacs right behind him here. And now you see Isaacs with a big run, but I think maybe he burps the throttle a little bit. You can see the 7 now come up, and man, oh man, those guys being patient here early on, John, and that's tough to utilize patience. I mean, you just mentioned how tough it is to pass at a racetrack like this. And this is no shot at the 7 of Daniel Hill, but it's fresh on my mind. You remember, he even said in his second place interview last week, maybe should have made the move when he had the run. And yeah, Bill Martin slipped and sliding.
Nope, not going to save it.
Oh, and they're wrecking behind. We've got 2 wrecks. The Bill Martin one brought out the caution, but the one behind is, man, that's going to...
Brian Lindsay is involved in that one.
And I could be wrong here, John. My eyes could be playing tricks on me.
Oh, yeah, the Garisco started that one. The second one there. Garisco got out of shape there and was trying to get his car, and I think he would have had it saved, but I think Fellenbaum behind him kind of finished him off.
Yeah, and John, you know, I was talking about Gorisco here. Watch this. He's going to disappear if we watch this the whole way. And, John, I think that's that incident limit point you talked about. Right here. There he goes.
Yes, he did get the DQ. I'm seeing it in iRacing, so tough break for Robert.
Yeah, I mean, that's how quick it can happen here. I mean, if you slip and slide, don't even bring out the caution. You know, you just get a little sideways. iRacing doesn't like
the wall.
2X. So, really easy to do. And got my eyes locked on these leaders, John. Is it too early? Do we come down pit road? We are close to halfway.
I said at the top of the show, I think if I would do is I just follow everybody around me. So if everybody goes, I'm going. And it looks like they are coming in here. A couple are staying out.
Tom Ogle, Josh Robinson, Daniel Hill, Greg McDaniel are the first 4 that stayed out. We got a couple more behind. I think Victor Lane may have stayed out as well.
Zach, you pointed out the time difference from the fall off, or where they ran just a lap, 3 laps later. What was it? Almost a half a second, almost a full second slower. Yeah. Yowzers. This should be fun. I mean, hey, who am I to question? I'm going to get entertained out of this, I got a feeling.
Yeah, definitely, interesting. I mean, I wouldn't...
Hislop stayed out, too.
No, I don't know how many spots. From what I'm seeing 7 guys stayed out there on the racetrack. And, I mean, we talk about it being hard to pass, John, but then you also mentioned that fall-off. I don't think it's going to be very hard to pass, and these leaders, the ones that came down pit road, so they're not leaders anymore, as Courtney Nelson running 8th place. I think everybody's still going to pit here again, John. So by the time they pass the guys in front of them, if we get a long green flag run, I don't think those boys are going to benefit. But we'll see. I'm going down pit road.
Zach, they're going to have to use their tires up a little bit to drive around people. It isn't like only 1 or 2 guys stayed out. You're going to have 3 rows of guys that stayed out on the track. So, he's going to start in row 4. So it's not an easy give me to get back up front. But for a guy like Hislop, who was, we saw had a couple of issues there, was all the way in the back, this is actually probably a pretty good deal. This might actually work out for James.
Yeah, very well could. And being up towards the front again, you know what that does, John. It breathes a little bit of new life into you. And let's be honest, he probably wasn't feeling the greatest after those mistakes, but you find yourself now just outside of the top 5. I mean, that can do wonders for the confidence here, and maybe find some more speed in the race car because of it.
Yeah, the guy that I would be nervous is going to be our Daytona winner, Mark Fish. He's the last car with the new tires, so everybody behind him has got, or he's the last one out with old tires. He's got everybody with new tires right behind him, so I'd be a little nervous in his shoes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty big guy, John. We all know that, and that's where, if the killer's coming, I'm going to be that guy. The guy running last between my friends and the guy with the weapon, and that is not a good feeling. I'm telling you, that is how the 42's feeling. I mean, he even looks to his outside now, and he sees 4 fresh sneakers right to his outside. The leader, previous Courtney Nelson. And man, Mark, hang on here, buddy, because it could get bumpy. As we roll off a 4 this time, John, we should see that pace car pull off. And for the first time tonight, somebody new brings us to the restart here on lap 67. Tom Ogle enters that Geico restart zone when he crosses this line. He drops the hammer. We're back underway. Good restart for Tom Ogle. Josh Robinson, not so shabby either. Plenty of room to hop in line. First battle on the racetrack is for 3rd, but not much of one. Greg McDaniel going to fall in line. And, John, I think that's what I was just going to say. I think these front 7 that stayed out, they have to work together.
Yes, they do. They need to get in line and try to use a little bit of a draft, which can come into play here on the straightaways. Make these guys, use up their stuff trying to get around them.
Mark Fish restarted 7th, now finds himself in the middle 3 wide here, just trying to hang on. Almost 4 wide if Luke Lane wants to be that guy, but he's racing smart. Man, oh man. Blood in the water here for the boys with new tires. Fish goes to the outside. He is just driving a snowplow through 1 and 2. That thing did not want to turn.
I called that on the restart. I told you, he's the guy that if I was in his seat, I'd be nervous having those cats right behind me with those new tires. And yeah, that came to fruition there. But you know what? Nelson is, he's moving up now. He's up to 4th.
Yeah, I mean, he's picked them off, but truthfully, John, this is no shot at anybody else, but he's really the only one. I mean, here comes Dwayne MacArthur. Now following suit, but the other guys, Sean Foltz now trying to pick it off from behind, but these guys were kind of taking it easy here. Wow.
Oh, his lop. Oh,
what a save. Little slideways there through 3 and 4, but man, you saw everybody kind of lifted there, gave him plenty of room, was able to catch it. And now Jerry Isaacs, I thought he was going to maybe try to make the move on McDaniel. Because of it, he does. He peeks to the inside. Isaacs, one of those guys with new tires. Man, you can tell he just sends it there on the bottom. It sticks. See Craig McDaniel just struggling to hold on there on the high side. Well, John, they learned the lesson the hard way. I don't think you see guys pitting for tires, you better dang come too.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought right from the outset. But the nice thing is I'm seeing out of Courtney Nelson here is he's not pushing anything. He's not really, he's come through the field pretty good here. But I haven't seen him really abuse the car doing it. He's just, with the new tires, he's just faster. He can roll the center a little better. Get off the corners a little better. He's using that to his advantage rather than forcing issues and trying to get there quicker than, what he could. I'm sure if he wanted to, if he was driving that car as hard as he could, he'd already have the lead. I would lay money on it.
We got a battle for the lead. Tom Ogle had a big coming off before. He was sideways. He was able to catch it. But Josh Robinson going quickly.
Josh just wiggled coming out of 2.
Yeah, and this is, I think, not that it's super important. He didn't need to do it quick. You were right. Pace yourself. But I do think Courtney needs to get out front here because, like I say, if we get a caution in 20, 30 laps, I think those guys who even just came down pit road will come down pit road and pit again. So I think he wants to be out front and control. He doesn't want to pit with those guys and possibly lose that lead he had.
Yeah, right now he knows it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. He's considerably faster, but he's going to have to figure out and be patient here, I suppose, because Ogle and Robinson are side by side. Oh, Robinson got really loose there. Nelson did a good job not turning him around.
No, and that's where, not that Courtney's doing it intentionally, John, but we talked a little bit about this air update. These guys have not as good of tires as you. You got to be careful. If they're running side by side, you can't go up there and suck the air off of them, or you might pay for it. So 100%. You got to race smart if you're Courtney, and that's what he's doing. He's laying possum here, kind of laying in the grass. Maybe getting sick of it here, though. John got to peek to the outside of Josh, and this is the way you got to do it. You pick them off one at a time. You don't need to go for that superhero move. Smart.
Yeah, he's going to be able to drive right around him. You'll see at probably the exit at 2. You'll see him probably get some separation there and just drive right around the 23.
Sean Foltz now looking to the inside of Daniel Hill. He moves up into 4th. His next victim is Josh Robinson, and I mentioned that because Courtney already got through here, and if you're Sean, you need to go. You don't want to let that man get that big lead again. I know it's not a lot here, John, but there is some draft, so you want to stay close to that guy. You want him to pull you along down these straightaways.
Yeah, you want to get up there, but you want to be patient. You got to make these tires last. That's going to be your big advantage here. You can run a little bit longer than these other cats can.
Yes, sir, John. Courtney Nelson to the bottom. Tom Ogle. Why wouldn't you? You're going to let him go. You give him the bottom. Make him crank those tires. Work it in. And I'm not going to make him work too hard, but you got to make him work a little bit. And that 11 may wave by here coming out of 2. No, Johnny's coming back with a big, strong run.
But had a wiggle. Yep.
Oh, that's a big save there from Tom. You wanted him to run him a little harder. That's what he did. But, man, the grip just not there here. These guys going to have to work on slowly getting back into the throttle. It's not that hammer down punch like we used to have, John. And, man, I think some of the guys are feeling it here.
Yeah, I think now you're going to see Nelson kind of stretch his legs a little bit. I've got my eye, though, on that 59. He's moved up to third. It'll be interesting to see if he's got the pace to stay with that 78 car.
It'll be real interesting to see, too. Tom Ogle, do you want a friend later in the season? How hard do you make folks work? I mean, you already lost the lead. Bolt got a little loose, John.
It's probably going to cost him third, too. Probably going to cost him all this whole straightaway here.
Yeah, and that's where I mentioned, that getting air on that left front, so important. He kind of entered in behind Tom Ogle. Tom ran the middle, Stoltz ran a little high, and there's no air on it. He wiggles out from under him, and that's not big time, John. He did a good job of catching it early, but, I mean, your tires, they're going to feel that you do that too much.
Yeah, and you do it too many times, your tires are going to be shot before you need to pit. Or before you want to pit. That's probably what I should say.
And, John, we talked about Courtney earlier getting to the lead. How do you like this? I mean, you talk about putting the leash on the dog. I mean, he is keeping them just close enough to where that air probably bugs them. Oh, Tom Ogle! He's got a big loose coming out of two.
He's got to lose several spots here.
Yes, he is 3 wide on the top shelf here. He's going to back out of that, allow those two to go on by, and that's 2 in the last 5 laps here for Tom Ogle. Going to maybe wish, hey, I came down pit road, because I could be wrong, John, but I think when the guys made the pit stops, I think he was sitting 5th in the order, so now he's going to be down lower than what he would have been if he would have just came down pit road.
We've yet to have green flag stops, but you talked about how you think that's going to happen at some point here, and that's really what Ogle and Robinson, I don't think they want to see green flag pit stops.
No, definitely not, because then even at the end of the next run, they're going to have really aged tires, and I think John, they'll have just lost so much time on these opening laps that they're really not going to find that payoff, even on the quote-unquote short pitting. It's going to be too long to go, but we'll have to see. I mean, they've done some things I've been impressed by before. There's the trash man. He's collecting some trash up there next to the wall. He got a little slow, didn't want to miss any, but that was close, man. You get these things stuck in that wall, John, it's not easy to pull it out. He got as close as he could without going up there and grabbing it.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really nice save for Dan here, and he's going to try to get that spot back though from Tom. I think Tom's in real trouble here with his tires.
Yeah, and Tom is definitely poking the caution voodoo doll here. He needs one to come out. We've already had a bunch. Why not one more? He says. That is a big uh-oh for the 11 of Tom Ogle. It just keeps losing them. I mean, he's going to be the next victim here to Jerry Isaacs, who has really had some speed over these last couple of weeks, John. And let's see, who are we watching here? We got Negus on the outside. Now we got Kotska. And I believe, I never remember who drives the 12. I just know it's the Irwin Tools. Andy Thomas, excuse me. See, I was going to say Tom Embassy. Thank you for that, Ryan. Got Bill Martin right behind him. But what are we looking at for biggest movers here? Really, the biggest mover, I think, is in 19th. Or 18th. Yep, 18th and 19th. Patrick Martindale both up 13 spots, John. Long way to go, though, for those guys. And up 13 spots. Just surviving. That's big.
Zach, don't look now, but Robinson has reeled back in Nelson on older tires.
I'm wondering how much of that, though, like I mentioned earlier, is
he
Nelson
got loose.
Putting
Nelson
the leash
just got
on the
loosed.
dog. This is really interesting. So let's see here. Courtney Nelson pitted lap 64. John, Josh Robinson. I know you want to know when they.
I think Robinson's. That's not holding back, so he just got him back. Robinson just had to lift not to run Nelson over.
I'll tell you what. If what you're telling me is true, John, If we see him go back around, my jaw will hit the floor because Josh Robinson has been out there since lap 30. Now, I know we've had a couple of cautions, but my lord, 56 laps.
But you know, with this new model, we didn't know how far that tire fall off is, and maybe it is that significant now where they've equalized. But you look in here, and you know, you want a little gap, sure, but that's not a little gap between them. So if you're Nelson, you're not holding them on a string that close.
I'll tell you, if you're Courtney Nelson, yeah, you're starting to maybe panic a little bit. I mean, if this guy has this kind of pace late in the run, I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. If you're Courtney, I think the only thing that may help you.
Well, now
is
Nelson's
green
kind
flag
of. Now Nelson stretched it back out. I mean, maybe he was just handling something there a little bit. Because I'll tell you, Robinson looks way better down here in 1 and 2. We get over to 3 and 4, and Nelson seems to be better than Robinson over in 3 and 4. So you look at Nelson stretch it here, going down the back stretch, and then over here in 3 and 4 on exit, he stretches it again.
Yeah, Josh, it just seems like can get away with driving the car in deeper. Maybe feels a little more comfortable. Maybe not the get off, but the entry that he's getting is enough that it's just gaining him. Maybe
Robinson's got a good run again.
And yeah, you know, John, we mentioned the draft. I mean, yeah, he doesn't get the big run off the top, but he gets the help of the draft, so it definitely helps equal out. And man, Josh,
that 78 car is dancing. I'm watching that back end dance. It's moving around, but now you got a lap car up here ahead of him. He's getting up out of the way, so the lap car probably won't be much of an issue.
See here, they should clear him, no problem. They duck to the inside, lap car goes high. And well, it's interesting to see here now. I mentioned they came down lap 30. That's 60
Look
laps.
He's to his outside. Robinson's, he's there.
I'll tell you
unbelievable.
What, man, this really is unbelievable. I don't know what I'm witnessing. I'm sorry that I'm being so quiet about it, but this is unbelievable. Everything I thought I know is just thrown out the window here as Josh Robinson to the outside, lap 91, battles for the lead on 61 lap old tires compared to 26. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Whole field is gonna watch this replay and go, "Are you kidding me?" You know, I think from all on, I think my strategy, if I was in one of these, I'm just gonna figure out what the 23 is doing whenever he pits, whenever he does. I mean, part of that you've got to be able to drive like him too, and you know, not use the car up. So, and this is impressive. I mean, Courtney's Nelson's holding him off for right now, but question is for how long.
Yeah, Courtney, it seems like he's doing enough now. He's extending the lead a little bit, but not a lot. You know, John, those guys 3rd and 4th, they're kind of inching a little closer too.
Oh, we got one around in front of the leaders down there, 56. I don't think he's going to bring out a caution though.
Nicholas Self, no, he's going to tow it to pit road, it looked like there. He does. So no caution, still keeping it green. And yeah, maybe not what Tom Ogle wanted. I know that guy's still probably begging for a caution, and he is going to be scratching his head wondering how Josh is doing what he's doing and why. What happened to him happened to him. I mean, this is crazy.
Tom's wishing he could throw a water bottle out of the window to get a caution right now. Not that Tom would do anything nefarious like that.
I'd do it for him if I had a water bottle, but we'll have to see here. Courtney still just pacing the field here as you see the general inching closer there to Sean Colt. Might have a battle for 3rd here pretty soon. Not yet, though. Here comes the 7 of Daniel Hill. John Daniel Hill, another one of those guys, has not hit since lap 30. He is on the Josh Robinson strategy, and he is hanging out pretty well there in 5th. Definitely not the pace of those front two, but man, he keeping them in that windshield.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to think that the fuel mileage, I got a feel like these guys are going to have to take fuel here sooner. This might be your first shot. See a green flag pit cycle here.
Yeah, I would think even the guys who.
Whoa, Nelson's. Oh, Nelson had to save that thing twice.
Now you see Josh all over the back end
more
of
cars
him.
on pit road here.
But yeah, I would think everyone's got to come down pit road, even those guys who stopped already. That's why it was interesting to me why those guys didn't come down pit road with them, but they're making it work. I don't know. It's going to have to keep an eye at Josh Robinson. That's going to be the big one. I mean, with the pace he has, John, he's not going to pit a half a lap before he has to. He's going to run that thing until it's in.
Yeah, and you know what? If there's a 20 lap difference here, if this thing goes now caution free the rest of the way, that is going to be huge. Oh, caution! Oh. Uh-oh. Father-son duo here. We have to see the replay here. Oh, it doesn't. Yeah, Luke gets loose. Pearson finishes him off, and he slides right up. And oh, that's not a whole lot of contact between father-son there. I think those guys are going to be okay. But I bet everybody comes down pit road now, because now you can go to the end.
So, yeah, Ryan, keep this on Victor. Here's the big thing about Victor here, John. He comes to a stop. You wouldn't think, okay, I made it through. Well, watch. He spins the tires here.
Up.
Yep, and then gets stuck sideways, and he was struggling there to turn it back around. I think he may have lost a lap.
Bruce Pearson drives her right back to the garage after that one.
Now, you got to think after what we just saw. I don't know if anyone needs tires, John, but I'd get them.
Yeah, everybody's getting tires here. You can run it. You can run it hammer down if you want. Well, the tires aren't going to let you, but I mean, you can run it as hard as you want after this here, I think. You might want to save them maybe 5, 6, 7 laps, but you're not going to have to be on them for very long. Everybody's coming.
No, and you know, John, we don't talk about stuff like this often, but I might as well. You notice Lee Worsdale, that 99 car? Well, he was third in line. Look at that big gap now from first to third going down pit road. You'll kind of see him roll by. I mean, that's big insurance for Courtney Nelson when you got some lap cars behind you. That lessens the chances of you losing a spot. But now look, Courtney Nelson, he gets slowed up by a car pulling out of the pit box. Josh Robinson into his pit before your leader. John, we are going to see Courtney Nelson lose a couple spots here. That is rough.
Yeah, if he loses them, then he's going to have to make sure, he drove to the front already once. And, yeah, Robinson's going to win the race off pit road. And it looks like Nelson's going to come off third. So, yeah, that's cost him maybe a spot, maybe 2. But, he's had a good car. He's just got to keep his cool here, and when that green flag flies, just go right back to work. But what a race we've seen tonight! This has been pretty entertaining. I think I'm gonna have to tell iRacing and see if we can pull some strings and get them to do a build every week and keep throwing curveballs at these guys.
I'll tell you what, John. I don't want to, kick the tires on everything Courtney Nelson has done. But we just saw what Josh Robinson did on old tires. Going to put this guy out front now after a mistake in pit road. I don't know, man. I think if you're Courtney, you don't want to overdrive here, but John, you got to get around Josh as quick as you can.
Yeah, at the very, very least, you want to stay right to his bumper, because I do believe he's going to line up right behind Josh on this restart. When Josh takes off, he needs to take off. He needs to clear that second place. And then just kind of run there and run with Josh, not wear anything out, and then maybe save it for the end here. And we've seen some great finishes out of this group, so I think maybe we might be on pace for another one. And don't count out that 83 car either, or that 7. I think those 4 guys have seen all kinds of speed, and Foltz has also held his own. So I think there's a lot of pace in these front few rows here, so this should be fun.
No, and, speaking of that 7, John, I was going to mention him and Josh, but now when we get the green flag, we'll only have 35 laps left. And I think, we've got close to 20 cars on the lead lap. I think we're sitting at 18. they've got an extra set of tires that those other guys don't have anymore. Is it too late to use them, though? Did they maybe keep them in the bank here, going to go home with them?
Well, there's 18 cars on the lead lap, so, you know, I don't know. Maybe if there's a caution, maybe around lap 110, you know, if you're, I don't know, sitting maybe 10th on back, maybe you come in and get them, but I don't do it if I'm the leaders.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Josh and him, I mean, that was amazing how he extended that tires, but and now you're going to go home with an extra set, and that maybe could have, or what could have been, could have extended that lead. But we'll see. He got it anyways after a hiccup on pit road. He gets a good jump here. Courtney Nelson wasting no time at all. John, you said it. Got to be on the rear end of that 23. He's already up into second. Good jump for Courtney Nelson. Now you got to get that 23 in the sights. Time to go.
Remember earlier, too, when I was talking about Andrew Koska, you know, about, you know, just trying to feel things out, test things out, get some data, unless the cautions fall right. Well, the cautions have fallen right. He's back in the top 10.
Yeah, and we saw the way he moved through the field early on. And, yeah, battle for the lead. Courtney heard me. You got to go now. I mean, you got to get out front. You got to take the air off the front of that 23, and that's what he's going to try to do. Josh Robinson not going to force the issue here, John. I know we talked about him running guys to see, and there you go. Of course not. But, man, when is the time? I mean, John, we're coming down almost 30 to go. When do you got to go?
It depends on how close you are, but, you know, if you're maybe a second and a half behind him, you can keep that that distance, 5-6 laps. You stand on it and see if you can run them back down.
I'd definitely be a little nervous here if I'm Courtney. He opened up that gap a little bit. It's almost like Josh said, go ahead, I'll let you.
Yeah, we've seen this movie before, just even that last run. Courtney opened a big lead. We watched Josh run him down.
Talked about Tom Ogle, John, needing that caution. He got it. Now he's battling the general. He's going to take a peek on the inside here, coming off of 4. Oh, Andrew Kotzka loops it. He goes down pit road. We're not going to get a caution. But, man, Andrew Kotzka, oh, he gets burned once again off of 4, John.
Yeah, nice save there. And no caution, which means we're still battling them up front.
That's what we want to see here. You got to let this strategy kind of play out. I think, you know, I mean, not that it would necessarily hurt him, but it's really going to benefit Courtney here if we get a couple cautions, John, you know, to keep some green flag laps off those tires. And he'll get to lead the way. That's all going to play into Courtney's hand here. So not that he wants this thing to be caution-filled, but probably wouldn't mind a few sprinkled in here every now and then.
Yeah, and Courtney hasn't won a race in a while. And for a guy like that, too, you know what? That makes you hungry, and I guarantee it. He's probably chomping at the bit, but he better mind his both his windshield and his mirror, because I got just a feeling that Dan Hill too. I think he's another guy that, you know, he's been really close here a few times. I think he's ready to get back to victory lane too.
I believe Sean Foltz, John, the man running third. I had to check he has not won yet this year, so he needs one.
Huge.
I mean, we've talked about Foltz and some of the unfortunate stuff that's happened to that guy. Just wrecks in front of him getting involved. And he's so close. He can see those guys. I mean, he can smell it. Those guys start battling in front. That's exactly what he needs. Yeah, he's close enough to strike.
Yeah, but then he's also going to need a really good finish. So he's really doing the risk and reward calculations in his head. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely so hard. I think, you know, I love the way NASCAR kind of has emphasized that win. You got to kind of, should I hang it out? Should I push it? You know, I mean, Foltz is in that camp right now. If I try to go too hard, maybe I fall back to 6th because I ruin these tires. You got to kind of weigh it. Right now, I think he's leaning more towards you, John. A 3rd place looks pretty good, and we're seeing that there from the 51 of Jerry Isaacs, right in front of that 11 of Tom Ogle. He's the other one. He needs a win. It's still looking pretty good in points, you know, pretty firmly in, but we know how quickly that could change, John, so he'd love to add a W here. Courtney Nelson, Josh Robinson's saga continues out front. Josh is slowly reeling him back in here, John. It's been a slow pull.
I think these two are just hanging out, clicking laps off, watching them count down. I'm gonna guess maybe lap 130 on. I think it's gonna be game on.
It's not what Fultz and Daniel Hill want to hear. You know, they want those guys to start going at it right now. They can reel them in here. And wow, Josh, I'm watching him. He just had a little bit of a slide there through 3 and 4, so he was able to catch it. But man, he is working it. He is trying to run down Courtney Nelson, and not going to be easy, John. You know, we mentioned it, the old cliche, you can catch a guy, but passing him is another thing. And we've seen that a lot here tonight. So Josh, as much as he wants to let the race come to him, he's going to have to make sure he's still got some grip left on those tires.
He is, and you know, it's interesting watching the leaders take 2 different lines here. So, I mean, I wonder which one is going to be a little easier on the tires. I don't know the answer to that, but that might be the difference at the end of the race, you know, because we've watched guys kind of slip and slide. Every time you have a slide, no matter how small, that puts wear into those tires. So, you know, if you're on a line where you're not sliding around that much on corner exit, that might be enough to get an advantage to make something happen at the end here.
No, and Ryan, I know it's kind of a lot, but stay in this view for at least another lap, because John will know a little better than me. And right now, Courtney is doing a perfect job, John. I want you to look at those right side tires here as we enter 1. There's that kind of, you know, re-asphalt patch. He is putting his right sides directly on that, whereas Josh, now he's going to hit it. Turn. But he was kind of splitting it a little bit. And I think that's going to help his tire wear, actually.
Yeah, well, that, and it gives you a little bit more grip to get off the corner there. That simulates newer pavement, which does have a little bit more grip to it.
And you can see him. I mean, he is not missing. He hit those last 4 corners. I mean, he is right on it. And Courtney knows one slip up, he could lose this thing. I mean, you got the defending champion breathing down your neck. But go back here. Let's look up the lead. And right now, it's Andy Thomas and Gavin Adams on your screen. That's Gavin out front in the 30 machine. Andy Thomas working that Irwin Tools machine on the inside. Scott Negus running behind those boys. He's a lap down, so he's just enjoying the view at this point. Oh, Gavin, not too sure if that was a go on by or if maybe had a little bit of an episode there, but either way, going to lose the spot here. Andy Thomas going to roll himself into the top 10.
A little further back from that is both Hislop and Luke Lane there, so you know, that battle for that cutoff spot's really tight. They're running right there on the track to connect to each other.
It's going to be important Luke stays close enough. You never know, John. This could get wild here, these closing laps. You never know. We could have a couple more incidents here, so you got to make sure close enough you can strike. And right now, Luke's doing that, hanging out there towards the tail end of the lead lap. Josh Robinson here, you know, he maybe wanted to make this move, John. Well, he's going to maybe have some help making the move because Sean Fultz hasn't won a race this year, and he is inching closer. That 59 may be the quickest car on the track.
Yeah, he's kind of eyeballing these two, and, you know, the thing is, you see them, if they get to racing hard, you almost don't, you know, you can take advantage of it because they're going to go slower racing each other. But if one of them step out of line, he's going to be a wreck on a wreck, and you don't want to be that either.
We're down to 20 laps to go, so that pay window definitely open here. And, John, this would be the interesting time, I think. Should we get a caution right now? Do some of those guys take advantage of the new tires, or is it just too far? And the closer we get, I think the easier the decision is made for those guys.
I think Josh Robinson answered that question earlier. Yeah, no way do I stay out. Josh was plenty competitive on those older tires. Oh, Fultz!
Oh, no, Sean Fultz. He gets into the backstretch wall on the inside. No caution. We continue. But, man, Sean Fultz, John, he needed that. He was sitting 17th, I think, in points. Or not 17th, excuse me, around like 12th. But that's a big hit. That car's not going to run the same. He's got to come down pit road. This is doing right now. So that's going to be the end of the 59's night there. Tough break for Sean Foltz. Well, not that Josh wanted it that way, but it maybe makes him feel a little better here. Now it's back to a 2-car battle. You see Luke Lane working the inside. That's for position. Luke trying to get around Gavin Adams, but Gavin gets in the backstretch wall here. And Luke going to back up the corner, maybe not realizing Gavin was going to give it to him. There he goes. Luke going to slide up in front here. And Gavin just kind of trailing on back. It seems like the handling's really gone away from that 30 car here in the closing laps.
Yeah, we're in the period now where tire wear is kind of transitioning.
Tom Ogle taking a peek here under the 51 of Jerry Isaacs. Jerry making it. They're letting him do it pretty easily here, or is he? He's going to counter back underneath here, coming off of 4. Little do-si-do, cut to the bottom. Jerry going to have it at the line. And, man, there's nothing more frustrating than that. If you're the 11 of Tom Ogle, you know, you go in there, you think, hey, I'm going to get this thing, and that guy throws a textbook crossover. John, that's not easy to do on old tires. Big move there for Isaac.
No, that's really not easy to do. Pretty easy to lose the back end of the car doing that, so nice job there.
Oh, he's going to float up a little bit. He loses some front grip, gets close to that 11. They almost touch Ogle. Oh, he can catch his breath. He holds on, but Isaac's not going to go away. He's going to stick right to that left rear quarter panel, pull some side draft. They're even going into 1. Can Ogle finally do the deed here, coming off of 2? Oh, Isaac pushes up. He's got to lift out of the throttle, and now Tom Ogle finally clear. Well, I said finally clear. Isaac's thought about taking a peek here, just can't find the run. Ogle gonna hold on. And oh man, out front, John Courtney Nelson, he's kind of, I'm seeing the gap widen a little bit. It's, I know Josh is still there, but it's not what it was. And last time by Robinson ran a 32.63. Your leader ran a 32.51. So that's even with a little bit of help of draft.
I still think I wouldn't pass any judgment who's better than what. I think everybody will start laying their cards out about lap 130.
Have to see. He's close enough. We'll just have to hope this thing stays green. But boy, would a late restart on old tires really maybe shake things up here, John. That would be interesting. I don't think we've been treated to late race restart yet this season. These guys are just too dang good.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, you know, right now, Hill is not that far behind. If these two front guys, as soon as they start racing each other, that 7 car is going to make it a 3-car battle, I think, real quick.
All the drivers in the top 3 have won a race already this season, so they're locked into that playoffs. But arguably, Courtney needs this. I mean, it's been a rough couple weeks for him. This could really get that 78 machine on the right track. And to do it in holding off the defending champion, John, that does make it a little more sweeter. Not that Josh necessarily, you know, deserves that, but man, when you beat that defending champion, it means a little more.
Oh, sure it does. Anytime you win a championship, yeah, that target does go on your back a bit.
Josh kind of experimenting with a different line here. If he got a big run off the 2, John, and he's to the back end of that 78. He's going to move up about a lane higher, going to experiment with these big runs off the corner. Doesn't work there through 3 and 4, but that's
7 inches in.
This is kind of the time you gotta, you know, you gotta test that stuff, and we'll see. Does he go to the middle top again here in 1 and 2? No, he doesn't.
The question Josh is asking himself: where can I get a run? That's what he's testing.
And I mean, you mentioned that 7. He's getting a little bigger every lap in this view. So Josh has gotta experiment a little faster here. He doesn't want to have to do this with a car right on his deck lid. Not that Daniel only wants second. You know how that goes, John. I mean, guy in front of you tries to make a pass on the bottom of the old tires. I love it. I mean, I'm licking my chops. I sneak to that outside, pinch him down, and steal the spot. So that's got to be going through Josh's mind.
Yeah, I believe so. But I'm starting to think that number 7 car might be quicker than both these two front guys because he's moved in on them a bit.
And we saw that with Daniel last week at Michigan. I mean, he clearly was better on the tires, was the quickest car at the end of the race, just ran out of time, and we're seeing him inch closer here. But another thing, John, time. I mean, we've got 8 laps to go here, counting this one, so time is not in your favor here. Only about 4 minutes left to race, and you've got to go.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of lap cars ahead of this group too, so don't count them out. We've seen guys just get loose out of nowhere. One of these guys go high trying to get out of the way or whatever. They lose that car, they might, have a little bit of say about this outcome.
And you're exactly right here. Let's see. Does the lap car? I mean, the leader's going to clear easy if Josh.
They'll get out of the way, but
Josh is going to clear. Daniel maybe not going to clear here, but it shouldn't be too big of a factor. He maybe gets a little bit of draft, if anything. Pulls him right back around, but and still not something you want here when you're trying to run down. What'll be interesting to see is here coming up, I believe, on Bob Fellenbaum. Now, this is kind of an awkward stage. You don't want to catch somebody coming out of the corner, John.
no, you don't. You just kind of hope they're not going to be in your line. And Bob does the right thing, gets up out of the way, allows those guys to race whatever lines they want to race. But here we are. I mean, now we're working lap 30. I think, and now it's game on. I think we're going to see who has what.
And Josh, if he's got anything left in the tank, gonna have to throw it down now as we come out of 4.
Oh, Nelson got a little loose.
Yes, he did. He's going to keep it on the bottom of the racetrack, too, to hold that bottom line as Josh closes in here, coming into 1. 5 fingers in the air, John. 5 laps to go. Here we go. And Josh run him down.
Oh, Nelson got on the yellow line, and look at this. Josh has got a big run, but Nelson loose coming out of turn 2.
Josh is right there. Can he pick up the throttle here? Try to pull in, maybe get to the back of the 78. Try to upset that air balance a little bit. 4 laps
I'm not
to go
seeing the
this time.
23.
Josh is there.
Yep. The 23 is just not moving around on the track like with the 78. The 78's rear end is definitely not stuck to the track as much as the 23's, and that's going to be a big difference here.
Josh trying to find the run off of 2, but Courtney with a good run himself doesn't allow Josh to maybe over-undercut.
Got Alan Wanamaker in front of him.
Going to run the middle here through 3 and 4. Can he get a nose to the outside? The 78 gets a little loose here.
That's a lot loose.
That may be what Josh Robinson needs. Coming to the line, give it to the 23. He takes the lead with 3 laps to go.
Well, Zach, lap 130, I was telling you.
And man, you nailed it right on the button here. Courtney Nelson, what's he got to do here? He watches Josh clear him going into 3. Courtney going to send it in deep. You got to go for it here. You got to swing it out wide. Maybe push him up the racetrack a little bit. He does, but he gets a little loose. And 2 laps to go, John. Josh Robinson to the lead.
That might be game, set, match right there. If he didn't do that and make himself loose right there, he was going to push up the track and turn the 23. Very good sportsmanship. Oh, Nelson, really big. This is going to cost him second.
Courtney Nelson, you said it, loses second there, falls back to 3rd here as Daniel Hill, the trash man, does just that, cleans up the trash there, moves up 1 spot. White flag in the air this time, John. 1 to go.
1 in the grass.
Champion. Oh, he's coming back up the racetrack, Gavin Adams, but that could have been bad. Daniel Hill.
The leaders just, I guarantee it, they all just held their breath.
No, and Daniel really had a big check up there, as you can see. Courtney Nelson now back to the rear end. He may battle for second here as we roll through 3 for the final time. Josh Robinson gets a little loose on entry, but he picks up the throttle. He's got enough. He sees the checkered flag. He's going to reach up and grab it for the 3rd time this season. Defending champion Josh Robinson steals it at the Kentucky Speedway. Daniel Hill coming on P2. And, man, Courtney Nelson, John, I thought he had it wrapped up, but it just slipped away at the end. He's going to bring home third.
Yeah, and that played out almost exactly like I expected there. Lap 130, we were going to find out who was better, and it turned out for this race, it was Josh.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen Josh whisper to those tires many times this season, and he's proven, even in this new update, he is going to be a contender. He wants to bring that title back home. And Josh, with his third win of the year, inches that much closer to Dwayne MacArthur come playoff time. But we're going to step away here for a minute or two as Dwayne actually there congratulates Josh Robinson. You saw. We're going to step away for a minute or two, let these guys catch their breath, grab a drink here, rehydrate, and we'll be right back with your top three and your full rundown here on the Virtual Grip Network. Stick around. We are back live on the Virtual Grip Network. And John, I think we got exactly what we expected here at a racetrack we haven't been to in quite some time. A couple cautions in the beginning, but I'm telling you, I told you the green flag run was coming. It came. What a finish there at the end. I mean, they put on a show.
Yeah, they always do. It seemed like, probably about lap 70, 75 there. And that's probably why we got that green flag run, because I think that's about the time that caution. These guys started figuring out the car, figuring out where the limit was, and their racecraft showed up that second half of the race.
Let's take a look here at that final rundown. We saw, that exciting finish. I mean, John couldn't have mapped that out any better for you. Told you Josh was waiting until about 5 to go, and man, he hit the jets, made a pass for the lead. Josh Robinson brings home his 3rd win of the season. Daniel Hill picks up P2 after Courtney Nelson tries to make a run back at the lead, but gets a little loose off of 2, and he rounds out that bottom step of the podium. Jerry Isaacs coming home 4th. Tom Ogle 5th. Greg McDaniel 6th. Dwayne MacArthur 7th. Roger Hurley 8th. Andy Thomas 9th. And wow, John, James Hislop, after the night that he had to bring home 10th, what a ride there for the 92.
Yeah, and that'll be big on the points there, closing up that gap between he and Luke Lane there for that final position in the chase so far. But coming home 11th is Patrick Martindale. Finishing 12th is our Daytona winner, Mark Fish. Victor Lane's going to come home 13th, followed by his son, Luke Lane, in 14th. Gavin Adams finishes 15th. Tommy Amassi comes home 16th. Scott Niga 17th. Michael Dow 18th. Nicholas Self 19th. And Bob Fellenbaum 20th.
Alan Wanamaker coming home in the blackjack position. Sean Foltz, we saw him battling up there. He had a quick race car, was running 3rd for a little bit, got loose, slammed that inside wall with not a lot of laps to go, and well, he just pulled it in. Had that win already this season, so he brought it home 22nd. Lee Worsdale brought it home 23rd. Brian Lynch 24th. Andrew Kotska, an up but mostly down night there for the driver who finished 25th. Bruce Pearson 26th. Bill Martin, another one. He had a big-time save, but then, man, he just, I believe one of the ones the incident pointed out, nothing Bill could really do here tonight. Robert Kowishko 28th. Brian Lindsay 29th, and Ken Allen rounds out the top 30.
Finishing 31st is going to be Chris Bates, followed by Lloyd Moore, Dakota Scar. Ken Allen will come home 30th, but Chris Bates 31st, Lloyd Moore 32nd, Dakota Pischke 33rd, and the last car that started the race, John Hastings, will come home 34th, but Brian Glass and Lonnie Corey did not take the green flag, but they are listed there.
Well, I mean, they could have joined us in the booth like you did last week, John. You know?
Oh, man, I'm still embarrassed. You had to bring that up.
Well, hey, let's get a word here. The driver who came home in 3rd place, Courtney Nelson. I mean, Courtney, nothing I can say going to make this thing go away, man, but you were a quick race car tonight. Man, what could have been for you? How you feeling?
A little bummed out, but what can you do? Mess up right at the end of the race, and Josh does Josh things.
Yeah, I mean, not that Josh is a legend or anything, but does it make you drive any different, or maybe creep up on you when you know that defending champion's behind you? I mean, so tough to hit your marks. And Courtney, we were watching you. I mean, you were painting the inside. You were absolutely hitting your marks. But, I mean, just that one mistake.
Yeah, I told myself going in the race, treat it like Darlington, race the track because it was so slick. Don't race the other racers. So I was just focusing on hitting my marks. And when Josh was getting up behind me, it was just, there was no drive off. As soon as somebody got close to your back bumper, your rear tires didn't have any grip, so it would slide and everything else. So it just 35 laps of that, and the rear tires shut off.
Well, I mean, Courtney, at the end of the day, it's, been a pretty rough couple weeks for you, and it hasn't been any of your doing. I mean, get caught up in other people's nonsense, but you finally bring that thing back onto the podium where it belongs, and hopefully this is that kick in the right direction you need, Courtney. Heck of a run. Congratulations on 3rd, man. Who you want to?
You guys, say happy Father's Day to everybody. Victor, all the guys here. This league is, for only having a few mistakes, it's a blast to be a part of this. So appreciate it, guys. Hopefully we talk to you next week.
Yeah, man, hopefully, because you are a big part of this, and you put on the show tonight. That was great running, and hopefully we're talking to you again soon. Good job, Courtney.
All right, see you guys.
Now we got the driver coming home P2. He's up here a lot, John. Who you got?
Yeah, he's up here a lot, and he's up here in the same spot here. And I know it's getting old, but Dan, it's good to talk to you again.
Yeah, buddy. Boy, I'm tell you what, I'm exhausted after that one.
You know, I can imagine. I think everybody had several moments in that race. So, iRacing threw a curveball at you guys this week. Download with me here. Is this unique to Kentucky, or are we going to see this for a few weeks till you guys got a handle on them?
I definitely think it's probably going to be this way for a few weeks. I mean, I don't know how much it's going to affect Pocono, because Pocono in itself is kind of, unique in itself. But
yes.
You could really feel if the temperatures were cooler, you could feel where the loose part is, like where the car is going to start breaking free. But with this hot temperature we had today, this I think it was like 136 when we started the race, track temp. I mean, it was just you just didn't know when it was going to come. So if you were not running the same line every time, it was different, and crossing people's wake really upset the balance of the car as well. Like it's way different than what it was. I can tell you that. I spent 140 laps yesterday practicing, with a group of guys from here, and we really kind of experimented around. You could really, the air feels a lot different, the tire feels a lot different. It's definitely different.
I don't know, is a good different or bad different? Where do you land on it so far?
I'm not too much of the fan of the tires. Really just don't feel like they fall off. If you take care of them and you don't slide the car, you could, as long as you run, you can run the same laps for like 40, 50 laps. And it's kind of crazy to think that, 50 lap old tires could be running the same thing you were running, 6 laps in. There's a huge fall off from like 4 to 5 laps, but after that they just kind of like stabilize as long as you just don't slide the tires.
Yeah, well, tonight that looked like almost impossible because it looked like even if you ran the same lines, there was some unpredictability in the car, and I didn't realize that the air moving around was so much different. That explains a lot because I saw a lot of guys hitting the same line every time, but kicking that back out or losing that nose and going up the track. I saw a lot of weird things that explains a lot. So, well, man, you talk about Pocono next week. How are you feeling about going up there?
Well, I got 2 in a row in the Cup Series there. I like it. But I'm now with this unexpected package, it's going to be different. So I don't know what to expect. Right now I kind of want to just be happy, get some clean races in, and just hopefully try to get this tire model figured out.
Well, I wish you the best of luck up there, and we can't wait to see you on the track again. Anybody want to give a shout out to?
Oh yeah, all my teammates at Team Yada. Josh, Tom, Brian, Mark Fish. Shout out to everybody who came out last night to practice. I'm glad that hopefully it helped them out a little bit. Shout out to my wife for letting me do this. You guys up in the booth are also awesome. You guys really do a fantastic job with not just the broadcast, but everything you guys do behind the scenes as well. And a shout out to Victor for all of his hard work, because this place wouldn't be as awesome if it wasn't for him.
Well, awesome, man. Well, have a good week, and we'll see you next Sunday night.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Yep. It's Daniel Hill, our second place finisher, and Zach, you caught up with that 23, and you heard Daniel say, Josh doing Josh things, and he bagged another one.
Yeah, but Josh doing Josh things. Josh, first off, congratulations on the win, man. But we got to rewind this clock. How in the heck were you battling for the lead with 60 lap tires when that man in front of you, his tires were about 20 laps old? Did you just show me something new? Is this tire model a little different? That was impressive, man.
Look, there were a lot of us that were just as confused, and I was one of those people. I was turning my fastest laps of the race at that point, just going, I didn't know if it was just, going to be false, and next thing you know, I'm going to be the inside wall because it was just too good to be true, but then it just kept sticking, and I would turn a 5 and a 6, and like, all right, here we go. So I don't know if this tire model, if you cool them down, everything's good to go, because that seemed to be the trend on a restart. But I was one of those surprised people when when I started getting to the back bumper of Courtney.
You know, I did a lot of Xfinity racing this week, not so much in the Cup car, but Daniel kind of verified it, and I could definitely feel it in the Xfinity car, man. But when you're stuck there in traffic, we kind of saw you searching for room, trying to get some air on that front end. How much different does the car feel there when you're in traffic? Because, man, it just seems like it's a handful.
It definitely is a handful, and you are correct. I was searching for some fresh air, but not really towards the. I was at the end, but kind of out of necessity. Just the way my driving style is, of I'm not going to go real hard at the beginning, and I'm going to let guys go. I'm almost always behind someone, so clean air is not something I experience too much towards the beginning of the race, and so I think that kind of helps me just kind of learn how the car is. But you're absolutely right. It took a very numb front end and made it even a little bit harder to feel. And so at the end there, Courtney was doing a phenomenal job of running that low line in 3 and 4, which is exactly where I wanted to be. I knew I had no shot of rooting him off the bottom, and that's definitely where he needed to be as well. So it took me about 10 laps to convince myself to have a little courage to go up to that seam line entering 3, but I knew I had to stay there. But I think having that fresh air on the front end on that corner allowed me to get a little bit more planted in the middle of 3 and 4, and I was getting some good runs on him. But that was tough to figure out. I still don't even know if I figured it out. I think maybe I just got lucky tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, Josh, my partner up here, man, he's going to be shy, but he might have you figured out, because about 30 laps to go, he said, Josh, you don't care. With 5 to go, that's when he's going to cash in. That's exactly what you did, man. Was that kind of your number in mind? Were you just kind of laying in the weeds, letting him, dance a little out front? I mean, or was that just when opportunity kind of presented itself? I mean, what was your mindset?
I would like to say that I waited until the last 5 laps to make my move, but I was probably trying to make that pass for the last 25 laps.
Well, hey, fresh off the update, you got to find ways to make it work. And like you said, get a little air on that nose on the outside of 3 and 4, and man, you found a little trick up there, and you used it to your benefit. And when you got out front, man, you never looked back. Congratulations on the 3rd win of the season. Josh, who you want to thank, brother?
Just want to thank everyone for calling out. We had we're mid-season. We had another phenomenal car count with a tricky combination. So thanks to everyone that came out. Thanks to all the other admins for all the work they do. And, they're in race review right now, just making sure that if anything unfortunate happened, it gets, tidied up. Thanks to all my teammates. We were bouncing, Dan actually put up a practice yesterday, and a couple guys were able to make it, and learn a lot there. Just being able to bounce ideas off each other is huge. And then, that for anyone listening, we don't keep those to ourselves. If you're not, even if you just want to ask us on Discord, by all means, ask away. We're not shy about sharing the information. Thanks to Victor for keeping the league going. And then, our YesterYear sponsor, he's been doing, Alan does so much work with all the leagues that he's involved in with his modified league, and then the iRock series he runs on Tuesdays, and then all the support he gives the OBRL. So thank him for doing all that work. And then looking forward, as always, to go back and watching this and listen to your guys' great interviews.
Well, hey, before you, escort yourself out of here, we got 3 turns next week, man. We're in my stomping grounds. We're in Pennsylvania. How do we feel going into Pocono? You confident?
Pocono's a fun race. It's an okay track for me. I would not say I have the same confidence going into Pocono that I would at a traditional 1.5 miles. But hopefully we can get some guys like Dale Copeland out, who hasn't run too much on Sunday night. He really likes that track. Fellenbaum is really good there, so hopefully he is able to show up next Sunday. And then man, it is the tricky triangle for a reason. I am super excited to see how this car handles in the tunnel turn. It's either going to be a blast or it's going to be a lot of wrecks.
Hey, man, I got a feeling you're going to figure it out by then, and we look forward to talking to you again next week. Great run tonight, Josh. Congratulations.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good night.
Defending champion Josh Robinson brings home the win. And, man, John, like I said in kind of the closing, we expected some cautions, but, man, we expected some good racing, and we got the good racing. That was phenomenal. What a way to steal that thing from Josh. And you may have to sell Josh Robinson guides to the drivers because you knew exactly what he was going to do.
Yeah, I probably got lucky on the guess, but you know what? These guys, I cannot wait to see what they do next week. Pocono is going to be, an interesting track. You got 3 different corners, and sometimes you got to sacrifice on one to get a little more out of another here. And these guys, that should be a really interesting race to watch, to be honest with you.
Yeah, speaking of, let's go ahead. Let's throw up next week. You heard us talk about Pocono. That's going to be next Sunday, June 22nd, 8 o'clock as always. And, man, the Tricky Triangle, as John said, that is going to be interesting. And definitely that tunnel turn, man. Turn 2 on this new tire model. It is going to be fun to watch. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss that. But coming up next, John, tomorrow night, we're at the Michigan International Speedway for a little Maximum Velocity ARCA series. And, I may have to come out of hiding for the final week at Michigan.
Yeah, big wide track up there in the Irish Hills. We were just here with OBRL. That was one of the better races we saw, too.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to that. So make sure you watch tomorrow night at 9:30. But if you're still here, thank you for hanging around this long, because the OBRL YesterYear Racing Cup Series never disappoints, and we got to see the defending champion bring home another one here. Make sure you're back for Pocono next week. But on behalf of everyone at the Virtual Grip Network and my partner John Hine, the dude in the back, Ryan Seneker, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Have a good night.